Harrison's mic has, I'm telling you, it's got that super pickup. He's going to be the new Iceman. He's going to replace Kirk Henderson as the new Iceman.
One can never.
Nobody could never replace Kirk. What's up, everybody? Welcome into a Monday edition of the DNVR Nuggets podcast. Do we have air horns? Are we all business now?
We're business, man. This is the playoffs. We're locked in. We're ready to go.
See, no distractions, no hype. We're just locked in. I'm actually not locked in. I'm not locked in. I got so much more to go. This is going to be a very early, I would call it a preliminary look at the matchup between the Nuggets and the Warriors. A lot more digging to do in terms of just matchups, film study, all of that different stuff. But we're going to give some early takes on just things we're interested in looking into here as we get ready for a Nuggets-Warriors rematch of the 2013 series. And to join me, I got Harrison Wind.
Good to see you again, Adam. When I see you in real life, I'm putting my hands on you, though. For real. For real, man.
Man, we got to talk about that, I suppose. Maybe we can cover these old tracks. By the way, Harrison, your haircut, I saw it yesterday. Gorgeous. What are you doing? Why hide it? Why not share it with the world? Is it one of those things like where you don't feel the world is worthy of seeing your beautiful locks?
No, that's just reserved for post-game shows.
Strictly post-game.
Only pre and post-game.
And then down below there, we got Brendan Vogt.
Excited to be out of purgatory, fellas. We might be headed to hell, but purgatory is done.
We're in purgatory, man. Are you kidding me? Like, one of the storylines we're going to talk about today is still the idea of Jamal Murray coming back, which I have not closed the door on. And until Jamal Murray comes back, we're in purgatory. We'll be in purgatory all the way up until the
might be a rough summer, man.
It's going to be the whole summer. We're like, is he back in October? Do we even know? I don't know. We'll have to get into all of that later on. We're also going to talk about some of these play-in games and what kind of intrigues us there as we bounce around the NBA. But Nuggets Warriors starting on Saturday. By the way, super producer Kelly, you could throw up the graphic there. As you guys know, there is no greater place to watch the Nuggets game than at the DNVR bar. We are going to be there 6:30. I'm just going to tell you right now, we have an Avs party bus that same time. This is going to be the most packed, exciting, fun bar to be at in the entire world. You're probably going to want to get there early. I think we're going to have the parking lot open where people can go play bags and hang out. It's going to be sunny. I think it's 70-something degrees that day. So we're going to have beer tubs and everything else. So if you want to come watch the game, and we highly encourage you, the atmosphere is going to be incredible. Just get there very early, like really early. Have dinner there, maybe even have lunch there, and come drink and be ready because it's going to be a great time, and I can't wait to look at see everybody out there. Harrison, 2013 Nuggets Warriors. It was the birth of the Warriors dynasty. What do you remember about that series? Here's where I want to start. What do you remember, if anything, about that series?
I mean, that's exactly what I remember, the birth of the Warriors dynasty. I remember just the Warriors beat the Nuggets in just complete humiliating fact. Like, it was so humiliating how Golden State beat Denver. It was the first we ever saw of the Steph Curry phenomenon.
Right.
And you watch that series and you're like, wait, is this guy for real? Like, is this actually happening? I don't like to think back to that series because the memories are terrible. But
I wonder if there is a revenge factor, a little bit to it. Now, it's all different players on the Nuggets side. Like, nobody has a connection to that in any capacity.
There's one player, Adam. There's one player.
Well, Andre Iguodala has it. Yeah, but he's on the Warriors. I'm saying he can't have revenge on the mind when he left the Nuggets and has been with the Warriors basically ever since. Like, he doesn't have a revenge factor. I just don't think the Nuggets will. But here's the thing, Vogt. The thing that's tough about the Warriors, well, there's a lot that's tough. They're really good, and we're going to get into some of the reasons that might be disguised just how good they are. But they don't just beat you, they beat you down. That's the thing. Like, you play the Mavericks, they might beat you in 4 games, but they're all going to be 5 points, 10 points, something like that. The Warriors, when they start to beat teams, they get up by 30, 40 points, and you look terrible. That, to me, that's one of the things about the Warriors that's so terrifying. This series is so terrifying.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's as explosive as the top end talent can be, and not just top end, really. I mean, even Poole is like terrifying prospect. And considering Denver's lack of perimeter defense, it's all a bit horrifying. There is something about them, though, that I do think for various reasons, and a lot of it is health. If you look at them post All-Star break, I was saying this on the show last night, I'm almost willing to take that explosive nature, given with the fact that they don't seem to be operating on a string right now, the way some of the other teams do, like a Dallas or a Boston or a Memphis. And they are a great team. They can turn it on. And saying I want the Warriors is probably, it's famous last words material. I'm not that naive, but there's something to, are they going to be on the same page? Are they going to be this like tight sort of ruthless execution unit? And I don't know that they are.
I have heard that Steph Curry probably could have come back and played the last couple of games, but they just kept him out for precaution. Like they felt pretty confident in where they were. And I also heard that they wanted the Nuggets, that was a matchup that they looked at and said, you know what, that's the weak link. Denver shorthanded. We feel like we have them. So I hear those things and I think, man, Golden State kind of calling their number against Denver and feeling confident. You know, you never feel good about that. They know they've been through these battles so many times. They kind of know where they're at. Wind, here's one of my first questions. The Nuggets just lost overtime to Austin Reeves, put up a triple-double on him. Malik Monk goes for 41. The game didn't matter. It didn't mean anything, but it is a little bit of a weird like momentum to carry. And then Klay Thompson on the other end just had his best game of the season, and the vibes are immaculate for them. Like, do you think that momentum, just that specific last game of the season momentum, means anything at all?
For the Nuggets, no. I don't think so. I mean, they got a week off. That game was just a fake game. Like that game actually didn't really happen.
It was such a fake game. It was so dumb. But the Nuggets also look so bad in it. It's so annoying.
They did. And look, the Nuggets haven't played defense for a couple months now. If they don't play defense against the Warriors, this will be a quick series. It's going to be about like, can Aaron Gordon and Will Barton and Austin Rivers flip the switch? You know, that's what this series is about in a lot of ways to me. Can the Nuggets get enough stops? So I don't know about the Warriors. Like maybe, you know, Klay Thompson just needed that one game before the playoffs to really lock in, because the last time the Nuggets played the Warriors, Klay Thompson was not all that. Like he looked pretty bad. So maybe Klay can have that carryover effect. I don't think the Nuggets are going to have a carryover effect from that game. No.
Yeah. I mean, that part is, I think Klay, it wasn't just this last game. He's kind of slowly gotten better. I saw his stats. I didn't realize this, that he was shooting 39% from three since returning. Like you just thought about his early slump when he first arrived and he wasn't shooting very well, but to finish basically at 39% on volume is like, yeah, he might be back. You know, that might be a, like Klay is ready to go. Here's the first thing. Actually, I'll let you be the first one to answer this, Vogt. What is, in your opinion, the baseline for success for the Nuggets in this series? Like, what is par where you say this would be anything better is sort of a win, even albeit a moral win?
That's an interesting question. At this stage in their team development, I feel sheepish saying anything less than a win, anything less than getting out of the first round. But they're underdogs and with good reason right now. And I'm not picking them in this series. So when I try and reconcile those things, like you hope it goes at least 6 games. You hope the Warriors don't just walk into whatever they want. It doesn't feel like you just said they called their number, they were right to, and they punked the Nuggets. It's just got to look like a really competitive series, and Jokic has to look like the best player on the floor. But it's tough. I mean, as an analyst, you're in this weird place with this team now where you say, okay, I don't know about title or bust, but you don't want to just coddle, right? Like there's only so many moral victories you can accrue. And at the same time, I have to be realistic about where this team is at.
What do you think, Harrison?
Look, if they don't get out of the first round, it's going to feel like a disappointment, just because they have a guy who's going to win back-to-back MVPs. He's the best player in the world. Just when you have that element, you have a just built-in expectation that you could make a run. So I think on the surface, it would feel like a disappointment. But, I mean, we've all watched this team over the last several months. Like, we know who this team is right now. This team, I don't think, is built to win a playoff series.
They're not. That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah.
Like, they overachieved in the regular season by a lot.
They certainly did. And like, we know who they are. And so coming at it from that perspective, if they can be competitive in the series and push it to 6 or 7, I think that's a huge W.
To me, that's par. One, you just can't get swept 2 times in a row. Nobody will take you seriously. Will they care about the context of it? Not that the Nuggets really care what, the conversation is or whatever, but the Nick Wrights of the world are going to have 365 days to run with if the Nuggets get swept or even lose in a non-competitive 5-game series. Like, I thought that Nuggets Lakers bubble series was a competitive 5-game series. You had Anthony Davis hit a game winner. You had the Lakers storm back from being down in the fourth of one of those games. Like, all of them were close up until the last game, which even that one was close till the very end. So that was a competitive 5 games. I think that par for me would be a very competitive 5 games or 6 games. I think you just have to do that, and people would look at it and say, this is a very good Warriors team. I expect them to be competitive with everybody in this playoffs, especially if they can stay healthy. But if you could be competitive with them, to me, that's expectation. And by the way, DraftKings Sportsbook, presenting sponsor of this show, they have the line, pretty heavy in Golden State's favor. I'm very curious to see where all the smart money comes in. But to me, I'll say 6 games or a very ultra competitive 5 games. It to me is par. Anything lower than that, and Denver's going to have to deal with a lot of conversation every single. Nothing will matter next year because of it.
Yeah, I agree. They'll have to get through a 6-month regular season to prove who they are in the playoffs. Like that's what the entire season is going to be about. They're going to be in a situation that Utah's found itself in the last couple of years, where the regular season just great. You were great in the regular season. Doesn't mean anything. That would be the unfortunate reality. But we've also seen, with this Nuggets team, the further sometimes they go into a series, the more comfortable they get. And
sure.
And, eventually they figure other teams out. Like if you think back to the bubble, that's really what happened against the Jazz and the Clippers. They figured those teams out. And so if the Nuggets can push this to 6 or 7 games, yeah, I think they could absolutely win. If they just get smoked out of the gate and run over in game 1 and game 2, I think they might not have a shot to take it. But if they can start figuring some things out, and, Golden State has to change up what they're doing defensively and really get the Warriors on their heels, like that's the recipe for a Nuggets win.
Which team do you think has to adjust more, Vogt, the Nuggets or the Warriors, from who they are?
The Nuggets. I think the Nuggets. Well, the Nuggets have to defend, and that's not who they are. I know that's not quite what you mean, but I don't know. Like the Nuggets, there is a blueprint now, right, for how you stop this team offensively in terms of how you guard Jokic and what you ask those guards to do. And the Nuggets are going to ask to be able to execute under those circumstances or adjust or find another way. I expect that to rear its head pretty quickly. Whereas I just think offensively, all the stuff that Clay and Poole and Steph want to do, they're probably going to be able to do.
Yeah. Here's the thing that I think really frames this conversation, that frames this whole series, that I just don't think people appreciate. Because there was a point this season where I was taking the Warriors to win the title. Now, if I got into my head, I would probably take the Suns and maybe the Bucks. Like it'd be one of those 2 teams is probably my pick. But there was a time when I thought Warriors. The only reason I don't think that now is they didn't get, like the Nuggets, they didn't get that month ramp up to kind of get ready. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green played 11 minutes this season together. 11 minutes. I think people always picture like they knew Klay came back in January and they think, oh yeah, these guys had a couple games under their belt. They had 11 minutes. And that's, by the way, over the last 3 seasons. They all happened this year, but over the last 3 seasons, they've only played 3 minutes together. And here's some numbers for you. The Warriors are 34-12 this season when Draymond Green plays. 34-12. Their record, that's like very close to Phoenix Suns level dominance. And that's just Draymond. If we add Steph Curry and Draymond, they are 29-7. So 29-7 with both of those guys in the lineup, that's dominant. Winning 4 out of 5 games is pretty dominant. And then on top of that, you add in Klay, who is now starting to get his rhythm and starting to play, a little bit more like himself. I think this team is a pretty big sleeping giant. So to me, I look at this almost like you're facing the Phoenix Suns if they were rusty and didn't have the chemistry throughout the whole year. You're still facing a team that reaches levels where defensively they lock in, they rotate incredibly well, they're super smart. And then offensively, they weren't great this year, but I'm not counting on the Warriors to not be great offensively in this playoff series.
Yeah. It's also why when you look back at the past matchups between these 2 teams this year, I honestly think you have to throw pretty much everything out the window. The last time Draymond Green played Nikola Jokic was last season at the end of
Really?
the year.
Wow.
He didn't play in any of these Nuggets matchups this season, and he changes everything that team does defensively. So it's going to be a bit of an unknown for the Nuggets game planning against the Warriors.
Yeah.
I think the Warriors are going to come into this series with a very defined game plan and know exactly what they want to do, especially on the defensive end. The Nuggets, though, I think I don't really know how you prepare for this team because they just haven't seen 100% healthy version of this Warriors squad.
Do you get worried about those numbers, though, Vogt? They won 2 out of 3 games this season, their record, but they won 4 out of 5 when they had Steph and Draymond. Like, is that a meaningful stat that sort of gives you pause?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's probably why there's this palpable confidence coming from Golden State right now. I think they just know they're going to have all 3 of those guys out there.
Right.
And that's going to give them a different look than they've had for most of the season. I do take some solace in the distinction you drew between them and Phoenix, that it's not going to be consistently in this 5th gear, I think, across 7 games. I think like they'll make some mistakes. So, I don't think this is hopeless for Denver, but I am absolutely terrified of them seeing the best of Golden State. It's on the table, and you never feel more sheepish doing this than when you say, yeah, give me Steph Curry.
Right.
I want him. It does feel like the famous last words for sure.
And that's where Denver over the last few years has really struggled, is against really good defensive teams. Like the Blazers honestly should not have lost to the Nuggets the way they did, but they were so bad defensively that even if Damian Lillard went off, Jokic just scored every time down court. Like the Nuggets as a team just scored every time down court, and they won that series. Denver hasn't always looked great. In fact, they've looked their worst in the playoffs when teams know how to get stops. Because even if Denver is good for 2/3 of the game or 3/4 of the game, if they go through those little cold spells where they just don't score for a quarter or half of a period, like the game gets out of hand because Denver can't respond. So to me, that's what I look at that's so like concerning for them. And those numbers with Steph, Clay, and Draymond, the biggest hope, I think game 1 is going to be very important because those guys stepping out. Think about this. Imagine if the Nuggets next year don't get to play with Jamal and MPJ. It's different because they won championships, but I think people are underestimating the atmosphere that you are going to get game 1, opening day in Chase Center, when those guys really haven't played together. I mean, 11 minutes, but they haven't. This will be the most. They're going to double their minutes played together in game 1 at Chase Center. Like that place is just going to be popping. You can imagine what it would be like if it was a home game and Jamal Murray and Michael Porter came back for the first time. Like fans would be excited for it. The team would be excited for it. I just think that first game is going to be what a baptism for Bones Highland to walk into Chase Center, one of the loudest places, although I guess it's not quite as loud as Oracle, but to walk in there and have to go up against that crowd.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be terrifying for a rookie, I would think. I mean, I don't think Bones Highland is scared of anything, but I mean, even he, I feel like would get a little spooked. The question about Steph Curry's health is huge too.
Yeah.
Like, is he healthy? Probably. I know Steve Kerr said yesterday that it's going to come down to the wire, and I'm sure there's a lot of gamesmanship there. But if he's not, Steph Curry, that gives Denver an opening. That gives the Nuggets an opening for sure.
Yeah. Let's take our first break. On the other side, though, we'll get more into some of this, including the turnover battle, which I think will be huge. And then, of course, what everybody wants to talk about, Jokic. What do we expect from Joker in this series? And can he just single-handedly batter their defense and break it? Maybe. I'm excited.
Maybe. Guys, it's the playoffs. Make sure to pick up some Mile High City Copper Lager from Breckenridge Brewery. Breck Brew is the official beer of DNVR. So if you don't know where to get Breck Brew, that's okay. Go to their website. Check out the Breck Brew beer locator. It will tell you where to get Breck Brew no matter where you are, even if you're not here in Denver. If you are local, stop into the DNVR bar, of course, for the watch party, for game 1, for game 2. We'll be there throughout the entire playoffs. So we've got Breck Brew on tap. We got Breck Brew seltzers chilling in the fridge as well. But make sure to pick up some Mile High City Copper Lager too. From Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR. Also at DraftKings this week, the NBA playoffs means next level basketball. Get ready for all the action by betting the play-in tournament with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers can bet $5 on any team to win and get $150 in free bets instantly. You clinch a win no matter what. All DraftKings Sportsbook customers can also bet on NBA hoops with same-game parlays as well. So make sure to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code DNVR. Bet $5 on any NBA team to win their game during the play-in tournament. If they win, you get $100 in free bets instantly. That's promo code DNVR at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
All right, here I'm going to share screen because the Nuggets just tweeted this out and it's kind of cracking me up. We have a slogan for this season. I don't know if you guys saw it with this poster. Relentless. Relentless.
Okay.
That's going to be the slogan. Like we've had elevate. We've had these different ones. Relentless is how do we grade this slogan for the playoff run? Man, the excitement is palpable from you two. Yeah, let's go. We're relentless, baby.
I'd give it a 6 out of 10.
All right. You feeling the same way, Vogt?
Yeah, it's not doing anything for me.
It's not doing anything. Here's what I love is these are the, like, I forgot that Monte came in. Remember, he didn't work out this summer because he was rehabbing like some injuries. I forgot they're using his, like, that almost doesn't even look like Monte.
I know.
He's got to do a better job showing up for media day. With the clean haircut and everything next year.
I'm also always just fascinated by which players they decide to put on these promo materials. And they went with Jeff Green. Jeff Green is the fourth guy.
It was the starting lineup. That's why they did it. Yeah, but it is funny, man. I have a really bad license photo. And that's like, it sticks with you for 10 years. Like if you show up bad for that day, it's the worst way. I feel Monte showed up to media day, wasn't looking the best. And now like every photo, it's like, was it Yoke's second or third year where it looked like he was wasted? His eyes are like bloodshot. And he's like, and every photo for the entire season was that. Tough break, Yoke. Tough break. All right. Who's going to turn the ball over more? To me, this is like, I don't think it's the single thing that will determine the series, but I think it's like a top 3 thing. It might be number 1, but it's going to be a top 3 thing. The Warriors have the second worst turnover percentage in the NBA. The Nuggets have the 5th worst turnover percentage in the NBA. Both teams take advantage of it. Like they score points off of it. So to me, this is going to be a game about which team can force turnovers / which teams can avoid creating unforced turnovers. Vogt, where do you see that battle going?
Yeah, I think it could be Golden State that suffers more in this department. And this is why, just go back to the theme of sort of any optimism I'm showing here is just they will make those mistakes, I think. And I wonder if they do, are they jacked up by all 3 of those guys being on the court together? Steph can and has gotten carried away a bit with some of the passes he tries when he tries them. So I do think this is one area where if the Nuggets have relentless focus in this department, there's a chance for them to make up some ground in the gap between these teams given health.
Yeah. They're both going to turn over a ton. I mean, turnovers have been a staple of the Warriors' dominance, I feel like, really throughout the last 5 years. I mean, Steph Curry's behind the back pass in the finals is like a defining moment for that dynasty. And the Warriors do take a lot of risks. They turn it over a lot. They've also got, some young players in their rotation who are going to get heavy minutes for sure. Like Toscano Anderson, Jordan Poole, some of their rookies, if those guys get minutes. But I'm going to go with the Nuggets just because I think the Warriors are going to throw a lot at them defensively. And I just wonder if Denver's going to be ready for it. I'm sure the Nuggets are going to do a great scout. They're going to go over stuff the Warriors are going to throw at them with the double teams and Draymond Green playing center field, free safety on defense. But I just think it's going to be some stuff that this Nuggets team hasn't seen a ton of because this is somewhat of a veteran Warriors team with a veteran coach who has been through a lot of playoff battles, and they know the type of stuff that works. The Nuggets just have to hope that the best player in the world can just mitigate that.
Well, let's talk about him. Let's talk about Joker, because obviously if you want to have hope in Denver in the series, your hope is that Jokic is like plays his best 7 games, or at least 4 of his best games, at the right moment in the series. And, he's dominated the Warriors. Like, Kevon Looney is just out there to foul him. Like, Kevon Looney can't really guard him. Draymond Green is as you mentioned, they haven't played against each other a lot, but I feel really good that Jokic is one of the guys that can really take it to him in single coverage. My thing is, the Warriors are smart. They're going to do 2 things that make me concerned with Jokic. One, I have to imagine they're just going to double, triple, and try to get the ball out of his hands. They're going to try to be creative to force Denver to adjust to other options. Not double him when he catches it, but double him before and just say, no, you guys are going to have to go somewhere else to beat it. You're going to have to hit the flasher on the other side or whatever. The other thing they're going to do that really concerns me, they're going to make him work so hard on defense. It has to be the first line of their game plan. Put him in pick and roll after pick and roll. And Jokic is a great conditioned athlete, but they are going to make him guard everything so that he is too tired to try to take advantage of him on the other end.
Yeah, I agree. And I honestly think Nikola Jokic is so good that he can break the Warriors defense in a way. Like, if you have Kevon Looney on him, that's going to be a foul call every single time if you try to single coverage him.
Jokic will murder Kevon Looney. Like, this is the thing. All the individual matchups are like, Jokic will murder them. The level he was at these last 7 games, all year, but especially these last 7 games, Kevon Looney wouldn't play 15 minutes before fouling out or giving up 40.
Yeah. And if you put Draymond Green on him, Draymond Green's a much better post defender. I think he can battle Jokic in the post just because he's so freaking strong. But if you're the Warriors, do you really want to wear out Draymond making him defend Jokic in the post so much?
It's a great
kind of thing, they're going to be thinking about. But I just think how dominant Jokic is on the block and has been for the last couple of years, I think it could force the Warriors to kind of scramble and maybe, in game 1 or 2, when he's got Kevon Looney in foul trouble, maybe Draymond Green is in foul trouble, the Warriors look at themselves and they're like, oh shit, like, how are we going to stop this guy? I think that could actually happen.
Yeah, the foul trouble is interesting because that's really something that happened for Jokic in the second half of this season. He started getting calls. He really did. And it's not Embiid or Harden levels, but it's happening. And that's another thing that Boogie Cousins adds as well. And again, he might be facing a small second unit. He could get a chance to earn some fouls, bullying down low, get the team in the bonus. So is that one of the ways where Denver can send Golden State reeling and scrambling? I think it's possible. The idea of Draymond guarding him too, that's Draymond not roaming, not wreaking havoc in the passing lanes. That could make Jokic's life easier in some ways. So,
although I will say Draymond, one of the things that's really tough that Jokic struggles with is length. Yeah. And Draymond, he's like Davon Reed. His wingspan is ridiculous. And he's really good at guarding Jokic and getting that hand up. He's kind of got Jokic's same talents for just great elite hands in that way.
But ultimately, I think we'll see Golden State try several different things, even in the first 3-4 games.
If you go back to the last time Draymond Green played against Nikola Jokic, Jokic scored 19 points, 7 to 16 from the field. Like, the Warriors blew him out that night. Like, Draymond Green won that matchup, and he spent a lot of time guarding Jokic.
When was that? What was the year? Last year?
It was last year, end of April. I don't even remember this game that well. I just remember Draymond Green defended Jokic really well. Draymond Green also had 19 assists in this game.
Oh, jeez. He's such a good player, man.
97.
Draymond Green is such a good player. Jokic drawing fouls, but Jokic also just it's funny because one of the things we've been talking about a lot lately is Jokic is coming out like he needs to score 40. I honestly think this is a series where he has to score 40, like on top of everything else that he does, but he can't come out in the first quarter of game 1 and read the court. Say, what are they doing here? Like, no, you've got to kind of be looking to score, and make them react, make them start to get second guess and all those things. So just so much rests on Jokic's shoulders. Like, he has to sort of single-handedly beat one of the best teams we've ever seen. Yeah. Now, are they still one of the best teams we've ever seen? I don't know. Nobody does. But I have a feeling they're going to be a little bit closer to that than people realize. And Jokic's going to have to single-handedly make them guess their own principles that got them to where they were. And that's going to be tough. What do you think about the defensive aspect of this vote? Like, because we talked about they're going to make him guard a lot. Last year, one of the things that happened in that Phoenix series was the Jokic started to drop and just kind of concede mid-rangers to to Chris Paul because he was too tired. Like this was Phoenix's game plan. Just make him guard all these pick and rolls. I think that the Warriors have the talent to do that again. And I think that I just wonder if he's going to have the stamina for it.
Yeah, I agree. And you don't want to do that here. I don't think they'll do that out of the gate, but I could see it very quickly. That's one of the first resignations we saw in the playoffs, to your point. And he just couldn't do it. And I do think we see that happen eventually, but I don't think out of the gate. I think you'll see him up high and trying, but I do think Golden State is going to put him through that action as much as they can. And by the fourth quarters, it could be, look, as great as he is conditioned, as willing as he is to play every game, we've seen what this Herculean burden does to him, and it does wear him down. So some of these fourth quarters could be tough.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, the fourth quarter thing. Like so many people look at clutch stats, this or that. Like Jokic going to have to play such hard minutes that the fourth quarter comes around. It's going to be like, you just guarded 60 pick and rolls. We just got 100 touches in the first three quarters. Now we need you to like take it up a level. It's just, he has such a monumental task ahead of him, unless, obviously some players come back. It'll be interesting to see. Here's one thing I'm going to kind of personally lock in. I think Jokic's 3-point shot is here this series. And I'm curious if he takes it, but I think he's been bad all year. You get 10 days off between this next game. I've always thought that was a question of legs. I think that's the one thing that can maybe switch early on this in the series is the Warriors have to be sagging off him. Like they're just, I have to imagine. And if he comes out in that first quarter and goes 3 for 3 from three, like that could swing sort of how the personality of game one.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a massive tipping point in the series if he can make threes. Also, if just everybody can make threes. Like Aaron Gordon's going to be wide open from three the entire series. Like Will Barton's going to be open from three. So is Jeff Green. Like those guys are going to have to knock down threes for the Nuggets to win this series. But yeah, with Jokic, he's got a week off here. I feel like he was in a pretty good headspace, at the end of the regular season as well. I feel like he's there mentally. And yeah, I think he'll have the energy to start the series. It's just going to be kind of a factor if he's going to have it to finish it. And it's also why I think DeMarcus Cousins could be a top 4 most important player for the Nuggets in this series.
Wow.
Because if the Nuggets can steal a certain amount of minutes there, that's going to be massive.
You talked about foul trouble too. Let's talk about Boogie, because you talked about foul trouble. Some of this is the Boogie J Mike thing is going to be so interesting because I don't know that you can play those two against the Warriors. The Warriors go small. They like to play small off the bench. They love to go to a death lineup. Like Boogie should be able to score a lot of points when they do that and draw a lot of fouls. But is it going to be enough? Because Boogie has no chance at guarding the Warriors when they're playing like that. They've got Poole. It's not just Curry, Clay. They've got Jordan Poole also that makes shots. They got Andrew Wiggins, who obviously gets to the mid-range. So do you think that they can both play, Harrison, like J Mike and Boogie? Or do you feel like this is just can Boogie even play, or is it a big upside downside play?
It's probably a big upside downside play. I think the Nuggets will go into this trying to get both those guys on the floor because I just think that's the Nuggets' best 9 players. I think those two are in that group, and I think you're going to go into this wanting to play 9 guys at a minimum. So I think Malone will factor those guys into the rotation. Now, that could change in the second half of game one. Those plans can change quick for sure. But it's going to be tough because the Warriors do play really small on that second unit. And yeah, a small ball lineup can definitely take advantage of that group. But, you could talk yourself into it being maybe a little advantage for Denver because that group's going to rebound. They're going to control the glass. And if they can stay on the floor, it could be something.
Sorry. Please monitor the chat, buddy. Boogie. What do you think, Vogt? Where are you at with Boogie?
I think the Nuggets have to try it. Their best bench minutes have come with Boogie, J Mike, and Bones together. So, I don't know if that's true for that trio, but that bench group, and I found the 3 of them to be, the biggest parts of that. I think that Boogie will play. I think it's their best shot at big bench minutes. And I also think that notion of we have seen that dynamic of Boogie extending the foul drawing and getting the Nuggets into the bonus sooner rather than later and pushing teams further into foul trouble. I think it's possible. You're just also holding your breath for him to make similar mistakes on the other end, not just get torched, but the fouls, the technicals. I mean, it's gonna happen at some point in this series. Can he minimize that? Can he be a bull in a china shop in a good way? And that's a big question for me in this series.
Malone has had him on a tight leash lately. Have you noticed like some of these games is 4 minutes, 5 minutes? Yeah, but what I'm saying is I wonder how much trust Michael Malone has in him, right now. I mean, he had a game in his last 5 games. He played 4 minutes and 30 seconds, 15 minutes, 7 minutes and 30 seconds, 3 minutes and 45 seconds, and 23 and a half minutes this last one, of course, the meaningless one. So really, 4 of the last 5 meaningful games, the most he played was 15 with an average somewhere around 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I just kind of think we might see that.
If Draymond or if DeMarcus Cousins is on the floor, like I could see Draymond just subbing himself into the game to draw attention.
You're right.
Like, that's definitely going to happen, right?
Yeah, and it'll work. It'll work.
How big of a rotation do you think we see? I don't think we see both J. Mike and Boogie. I just don't see a way in which you can make that happen. You have to dominate the rebounds. And I just that group, I don't trust them to do that. Sometimes they do, but I don't trust them to be like, we're going to make our strength better than your strength with that.
I just think Denver goes into the series trying to play those guys. I really do. They've been good enough over the last couple months as to where I think Mike Malone looks at that and goes, that can be a strength for us. Now, like I said, that strategy can go out the window after game 1. I just think that's how Denver enters the series. But I think eventually we get to a point where the Nuggets play a lot of small ball. And Austin Rivers, I think, is going to play a massive role in this series. I think he could play more minutes than Will Barton, maybe. I just think he could play a ton.
That's hot. That's spicy.
And I think, eventually we're just going to see a lot of small ball.
Do you think he's going to close over Jeff? I think definitely a couple of times, if not more.
I think so too, just because of how they play out now. The matchups will be interesting, but I agree that I think we'll see that more. Do you think we'll see it start at all, Vogt?
I wondered. That to me seems more on like a panicky end of adjustments. Like it's gone so horribly in the first few.
Hasn't it happened every year though? Hasn't Malone changed his starting lineup at least once every playoff run?
Well, it's not like a lot of these series start super awesome. But yeah, like I think the idea will be to go with the starters, but that is possible, man. It's absolutely possible. The other thing I was going to say is I agree that it's 9-man. So if it's small and it's not J. Mike, so are we saying Bryn Forbes gets run in this series?
Man, I mean, I think he gets run just because I think Denver will probably arrive at a point where they're just trying things. That's in some games. Even it might just be a game 1, you're down 10 or something, down 15. Let's see if this works. So I think he'll get run, but I don't know if he's the solution.
Yeah. I mean, I think what's going to come down to with him is, can he be trusted defensively? And I think Malone kind of knows that he can't.
Yeah.
That's kind of what's been percolating over the last couple of weeks. And, it'd be great if they had a 6'6" wing that they could trust defensively to play.
Let's take a break. On the other side, I do want to ask that if they have, maybe people are getting a little bit tired of the Murray speculation. This is probably the end of the Murray speculation of just whether he'll come back. We'll ask how that would change it, as well as look at some of these other play-in games that are coming up.
If you haven't been able to watch Nuggets and Avs games all season, check out Evoca TV. Look, these guys are awesome. They're a game changer. Evoca TV is a totally new paradigm for TV delivery that is less expensive, more efficient. They offer a superior picture than legacy providers as well. So Evoca TV, it has altitude sports. You can watch the Nuggets and Avs. It also has a bunch of national channels as well. AT&T Sportsnet Rocky Mountain coming soon. So you can watch Rockies games also. Go to evoca.tv/DNVR. It's only $25 a month. Get a free receiver, no contracts, no hidden fees. Price is locked in for 2 years. evoca.tv/DNVR. Again, only $25 a month, no contracts, no hidden fees. That price is locked in for 2 years. You get altitude sports. You're going to get AT&T Sportsnet Rocky Mountain. You're going to get other national channels as well. So check out Evoca TV today. Also at Lightshade Dispensary right now, you could pick up some Wana Optimal's Fast Asleep gummies. Need to catch up on some shut-eye after the big game. No matter when you take them, this well-rounded recipe will leave you feeling rested and refreshed in the morning. over-the-counter pharmaceuticals knock you out with powerful drugs that leave you in a fog, but Wana Optimal's fast-to-sleep gummies, they offer a holistic plant-based solution that tackles the root cause of sleepiness like stress and pain. So you can pick up Wana at Colorado's premier dispensary, Lightshade, with 11 Denver Metro and Aurora locations. They got 420 specials as well. 5 best-selling products will be buy one, get one for $1 from April 20th to 26th. That's on their 5 best-selling products. And as always, listeners of the DNVR Nuggets podcast, you can get 25% off non-sale items with the code DNVR. Shop online at lightshade.com, or you can pick up at any of those Lightshade locations.
You guys, I know everybody saw the Billy Kennedy thing, man. It's funny because I just was like, Billy Kennedy's our guy because of the whole like Jokic incident, you know, and I just think he's kind of funny and to begin with. Turns out he's everybody's guy. He's like the only ref everybody loves.
Yeah. Like that would be a great island to be on. Like everybody hates every single ref except people just love Bill Kennedy.
It might actually backfire. Like all these refs are hated and everything. And if Billy Kennedy's I wonder if like his peers are looking at him like, yo, what the hell, man? Like, you're literally the only guy here that everybody likes. That's so funny. What are the odds we're going to get a Tony Brothers game in this series?
Oh, 75%. Of course, man. Come on.
What are the odds we're going to get a Billy Kennedy game?
50%. I'll tell you what. Zach Zarba, the best official in the NBA, hands down. Hopefully, he's on this series.
Zach Zarba, huh? That's your guy?
Yeah. He's the best ref in the league. Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows it. I'm going to stick with my guy, Billy Kennedy. Never call a foul on you. Come on, Billy. Don't let me down. I don't want to turn on you. All right, the Jamal Murray question is still here. I saw Jamal Murray work out. I'm at the game the other day. I got a chance to look at him. I hadn't seen him in person for a while. Here's how I would say his workout was: extremely focused. I would say he approached it with intensity. He looked really good. First of all, he looked slim. You guys know last time I saw him, I said he looked kind of puffy. He looked like he had some weight. I think he looks like last time I saw him fully healthy.
He's in good shape.
He's in really good shape. Well, he looks in really good shape.
Good shape. Yeah.
He got tired. They did shooting drills around. He was shooting very well. He had like pep in his step. He was crisp going through everything. Like I said, it was very focused. You could tell his like mind was like zoned in. But then they did the drill where they would have, I think, 3 different coaches going one-on-one against him. So it'd be like one coach is up, Murray would do something, then they would go to the back of the line, next coach is up. It was almost like King of the Hill, only Murray was all-time, offense. So, or King of the Court. So he looked really good. His footwork was great. None of the guys could stop him. And like, I know people are going to laugh at this, like, oh, well, they're not trying. They were. Like, these guys were actually trying to get stops. And it was almost like the coaches were taking a pride in, if you got to stop, it was like, yeah, like, good job. You stopped him. They couldn't stop him though. Like he missed 1 or 2, but he got open shots on them every single time. He was so quick. His footwork was on point. His focus was on point. He was a killer out there. And I watched that. He was too tired. My only takeaway was if he did play, he would probably have to play like 5-minute stints because he just was not in good enough shape. But I was very impressed with him. I still think the door's open. And even talking to some people, just other reporters, they all agree that the door is more open than maybe it was being led in the Shams report the other day. First of all, I'll start with you, Vogt. Do you still feel like a little hope that he comes back?
I mean, sure, because they haven't ruled him out, and there would have been wisdom in doing it at this point, I assume, just for clarity's sake, and I don't know, Jamal's sake, Malone's sake.
Because people are starting to talk. Like, people are starting to, I mean, some of your take artists are kind of coming out and saying things, but like, it's becoming a conversation of, oh, he's not playing, what the F?
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's why I think there may have been something to just putting some clarity on this, but they haven't yet. And so they haven't ruled him out. And so I'll leave the door open. I'm not holding my breath, man. I as Jokic said, I operate at this point as if he's not there day to day, but he's certainly working out like someone who wants to try to play basketball soon. So like, yeah, there's no point in closing the door.
Last time, I mean, Harrison, it's been a while. You're the one at the arena. Maybe you've seen this evolution, but last time I saw him, which was weeks ago, the workout was lighthearted. You know, he's out there, he's doing the routine, but it's like he's getting shots up. Maybe he looks and talks to somebody, did some shots up, you know, plays, scores on a guy and talks trash or this, that. This one was like zero smiles. It was just like, it was like a very focused Jamal. And that's what stood out to me.
Yeah, it's the workout I've seen a bunch as of late. I mean, he's looked very focused lately. He's looked like he really does want to come back. I'm not counting on it though. I just think it's too late, man. I think it's just kind of ridiculous to ask the guy who didn't play at all in the regular season to come back for game 1 of the playoffs. I just think it's like I said, kind of ridiculous to ask that of somebody. And of course, the Nuggets aren't asking that. They've got the door open, and it's going to be up to Jamal if he's coming back.
Michael Malone had interesting comments in the pregame. He was asked a great question actually by Mike Singer, because at practice the other day, allegedly Murray and Michael Malone walked over and had a 10-minute conversation with him. And he was asked about that. Mike Singer said, "Hey, can you tell us what that conversation was about?" And I thought it was kind of illuminating. He said, I was telling him, "Hey, if you want to come back for this Lakers game, you know, the one that just passed," he was just saying, I wanted him to know, we got his back if he does this or that. And I just thought, like, hearing that, like, why would you have that conversation unless you really sincerely thought it was a possibility? So
Adam,
for him,
this has been the thing for the last month. Like, they've had these conversations for the last month. Do you want to come back? Okay, you're not ready. Do you want to come back? Okay, you're still not ready. Like, it's just been the same thing.
I agree that there's no movement on this. Like, that's frustrating. What I'm saying is that if you gave up hope, you would stop asking. That's my point. And the fact that not only did Michael Malone apparently have that one-on-one with him where among other things, that was one of the things they discussed, but that Michael Malone felt comfortable enough sharing that with the media of like, "Hey, yeah, I just told him, like, if you don't come back, we still have your back, but if you want in tomorrow against this Lakers game, we can find a way to get you," like, whatever. Like, to me, it tells me like this thing still is evolving. Tomorrow, by the way, the Nuggets will have practice. It's going to be asked again. We'll probably get more intel. We'll see. I mean, we'll get more intel. The intel might be there's no movement, he didn't practice or whatever, and then it's like, okay, like every day that goes by, it becomes less and less likely.
Again, and meanwhile, I just think it's kind of crazy to throw a guy who hasn't played in however many months, in a year, and didn't play in the regular season, and ask him to play in the playoffs in Chase Center against the freaking Warriors. I just think it's kind of crazy that we're even talking about it.
I honestly find it less crazy. I just find the injury risk is the only thing. And if that's gone, like, does he give you a better chance at winning than Bryn Forbes? Because we just went through the rotation and said we don't know like where the next guy is. We know 8 guys. We don't know who the 9th one is. And if even as a decoy, the answer might be yes.
I also wonder too, and I don't know if this means it's worth it, but if you're Aaron Gordon, Will Barton, Monte Morris, Nikola Jokic, I mean, all the guys, but you just busted your butt to win 48 games. I mean, is there something to seeing him come back in that first round of the playoffs where I'm sure they're professional competitors. They're not throwing themselves a pity party like we have on this episode, but are they galvanized? Are they that much more inspired? Sure. Is there that much more belief if they see Jamal suit up and come back? And so I would guess that from Jamal's perspective, that's something he's considering as well, just showing up for his guys. Because he's a competitor as well.
Somebody says, "What's up with MPJ?" He's the one that nobody seems to have a story on. Like
he's not getting treatment on his back, like 3 feet from Murray that whole time, just like in front of us, not at all looking like someone ramping up for.
Did you see him shoot pregame last night?
He did not shoot. Jamal Michael Porter did not come out onto the court.
Okay,
so take that for what you will. Is there another player that you feel is just real quick that you kind of feel is an X factor here that maybe you feel can play above what maybe expectation? Monte, Barton, Aaron Gordon, Jeff Green.
It could be a huge series for Will Barton. Like, he could kind of rewrite the narrative on his season if he has a couple monster games. Am I confident that he will? No. He's going to have to defend. He's going to have to take care of the ball. He's going to have to be a real threat. We haven't seen him do that consistently since, the first half of the season. But the door's open. The opportunity is there for him to have a huge impact on this series if he wants to take it.
I'll ride with the chat. I'll take Bones. It's a guy who
Wow.
I think can. I don't know if he will. Definitely not fair to expect him to. But can he swing a game? Bones Highland has stepped up in virtually every big moment across the season. They need some non-starter to make non-Jokic minutes, of which there should be fewer, hopefully damn near none. But they got to be tenable, survivable. And I think Bones is the secret to a lot of that. Also, if you're just thinking, we hope for good games from Aaron Gordon and Will Barton, but if you're just thinking of sparks, just electric runs, change the complexion of the quarter, for Denver, right after Jokic, it's Bones, right? I mean, right after Jokic. So I got him circled as well.
Bones is so tough because this is such a good defense. Like, this is a really tough ask for him, to go out there. And this is a team that's going to really know what they're doing. They're going to have individual players who can guard you one-on-one, but also a team that just like confuses you and shocks you. And I don't know. I don't know that I think this will be a great Bones one, but he's certainly one that if it's a great Bones one, especially from the 3-point line, it could swing the series in a big way. So I'd root for that. I think Aaron Gordon is the guy for me. Like, he has a tough assignment in Andrew Wiggins. He's going to have make an impact there, but he also just has to score. Denver has to have some outlet for some shot creation, and I think he's going to be the one.
Who's guarding Steph Curry to start games?
Aaron Gordon?
See,
I don't think it's Aaron Gordon.
It's going to be Gordon, because we've seen this just with Malone and the Nuggets. Like, that's a winning time adjustment, putting Gordon on that number one guy.
Yeah. I don't know. It's Monte or Barton, and I don't know. And I'm with you guys that I think Austin Rivers gets that assignment really, really soon. We got a super chat that just came in. We can go ahead and play it here as we're winding down. Jamal's had 1 year of studying the game too. I feel like that is useful, even if he has to do 5 to 7 minute stints due to conditioning, could impact the game. I like this, Jacob, about how do you use the minutes? I think this for Michael Porter too. Let's be honest. Michael Porter redshirted 1 year, and when he came and got minutes, he didn't know the playbook. And to me, that was one of the most damning things, was like, hey, it wasn't a fully wasted year if you could just, really lock in and learn something, like learn the game as a student first. So when you get here, and now Michael Porter's having a whole other season that I hope he's made some progress there. I'm not holding my breath, but I hope so. Jamal Murray, the same thing. Like, what did you pick up? What did you add to your game as a student that you can translate once you get on the court? I hope there's something there. I'll be curious to find out. Before we get out of here, let's go ahead and run through these play-ins. I'm excited. Everybody knows I'm a fan of the play-in, even though it does suck for the teams that fall to the play-in. Like, it does suck that some of the Timberwolves who haven't made the playoffs, they've made the playoffs once in 20 years. It sucks that they might not make the playoffs now, that the play-in might destroy them. Cavs at Nets. Do you guys have strong feelings about which way this goes?
Nets.
You think it's a landslide?
No.
The Nets kind of suck, guys. Like, here's the thing. We're all giving the Nets this credit.
They haven't been telling me how Kevin Durant's the best player in the league, and the guy's in the freaking play-in. In the East.
If you were to talk about brightest timelines right now, it's like Denver winning, beating the Warriors obviously is included here. But like, the Nets and 76ers losing would so shield the Nuggets. Like, if that happened, if the 76ers lose to Toronto, it's going to be like, oh my God, this is terrible. And if the Nets just missed the playoffs, it'd be like, hey man, you can't say anything bad about Jokic or this or that when Kevin Durant didn't even get past the play-in round. Like, that didn't happen.
Don't worry, man. We got Ben Simmons coming back though. Coming back. He's ramping up.
I don't think Brooklyn's very good either, but I am taking Kevin Durant in this play-in game.
Me too.
All righty. The other one out east is Hornets at Hawks. This all came down to the last day, by the way, who got the home court the last 2 days. Hornets at Hawks. To me, this is an easy one.
Hawks.
Yeah, it's the Hawks. The Hornets are like by far the worst team in the playoffs.
They are.
Like, are they even good?
No, they're not good. They're not a good team. All right, we go to the other side of the bracket, and we've got the Clippers and the Wolves. Oh, I'm so ready for this game. I am locked in. I can't wait for this game.
Yeah. I'm gonna take the Clippers.
Me too.
Really?
Me too.
Poor Timberwolves. I think they would end up coming out and beating like New Orleans or whoever, but like them,
they'll get
having the season they did and having it all come down to one game. Oh my God. The Clippers are good.
They
Clippers
got
are
Norm
really good.
Powell back. Paul George is playing.
I like the Clippers' chances to win virtually any one game right now.
I know, it's so
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Also, how do you scout them? You know, like they're just a new team now. This is part of the Jamal Murray factor of if he did come back. Let's say we don't really get any strong update, which is probably the likeliest thing. And then Friday rolls around. It's like Jamal Murray upgraded to questionable. The whole scouting report from the Warriors is going to be like, well, we don't know. Like it could give you a little bit of an advantage there.
The scouting report might be, let's go at Jamal Murray. Like, really?
Yeah, but it still changes things, man. It still changes the complexion.
It does.
Last one, and this is fun. Spurs at Pelicans.
It'd probably be a close game. I mean, I'll take the Pelicans. I think they're just the better team. But
I think the Spurs might be the worst team in the playoffs.
nah, they're better than Charlotte, man. They're better than Charlotte.
Where are you at?
Give me the Pels. Yeah,
the Pels. I think that one's pretty. Pelicans are playing pretty well down the stretch. What if Zion came back?
Bro, come on, dude.
Can you imagine Adam on the New Orleans beat this season? I think Zion will be back.
I wish I had your optimistic outlook on all these things, man.
All right, that's going to do it for us today, guys. We do have Nuggets practice tomorrow, which I'm extremely excited about. We should have a lot more information. And, we always like to set the parameters for this, but talking to Michael Malone, talking to probably Nikola Jokic tomorrow, it'll allow for a lot more of like, what are the team thinking about the series? Where do they see the battlegrounds? And I look forward to that. You can also hop on over to thednvr.com and check out all of the written stuff that we have up there right now, including a new list on Bones Highland for DNVR members only. Tomorrow, I'm going to have one on Jokic and what he had. I'm excited. I've got a bunch of clips for Jokic about what's new about him this year. So that one will be up as well. All right, guys, hit that like button on the way out. We'll see you tomorrow.